Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. For those of you who do not know me, I am Dr. Malea Jensen. Welcome to Dr. J's Prescription for Health. I do this every weekend on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central and Sundays at 10 a.m. Central. So thank you for being here. I'm live on YouTube and Instagram. This live stream is health related, and it's an opportunity for you to ask questions if you have them. I will do my best on answering them. I may not know the answer, but that should not deter you from asking your questions. But I do hope that they will be medically related. So again, I am live on YouTube and Instagram. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Diane, and yeah, I'm kind of waiting here to get everybody to sign on. But today I want to talk a little bit initially to get the ball rolling and get your guys' brains to start lubricating themselves, is to talk a little bit about muscle, the muscle and its health, the health of our muscle, and why we need muscle. I thought we would just briefly talk about that and then move on to questions if you have them. So I'm just kind of waiting for YouTube to get started here. Might have a little bit of trouble with the connection, but I apologize for that, Instagrammers. It looks like you guys are doing fine over there, but good morning, Sheila. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Okay. Looks like we're doing okay over there on YouTube. So again, this is our opportunity for questions. It looks like Ohio has started us out with a question. Let's see. Here's a good question. Oh, and again, we will talk about muscle, okay? No matter, I want to fit it in because muscle means a lot to me, and I want it to mean a lot to you. But Ohio's got a good question. In what position should you be in, sitting or lying, when placing the blood pressure cuff on the ankle with respect to ankle brachial index? That is a great question. But let's first talk about the proper positioning in general when somebody goes into the office for the medical clinic and you have your blood pressure taken. To get an accurate reading, you must be calm. If you just ran into the office, you've been in traffic, you're maybe running a little bit late, it's important that you allow yourself to calm down. And it might take about 20 minutes. When your nurse is taking the blood pressure, no talking. In fact, prior to you going into the room, I believe it's important that you empty your bladder. If your bladder is full, it'll actually raise your blood pressure. I know it sounds crazy, right? But emptying your bladder will help, okay? Next, when you go into the room, sit down. Calmly sit and keep your feet flat on the floor. Do not cross your legs. Do not cross your feet. Do not talk to the nurse. When you're seated, your arms should be at about the level of your heart or slightly above to get an accurate reading. That is important to get, in general, an accurate reading of your blood pressure, okay? Now, when we're talking about doing a test, a non-invasive test, to determine if we have any arterial damage or any plaque buildup, we might want to do an ankle brachial index. The brachial is meaning an arm to ankle index, a ratio. So we want to take our blood pressure lying down. It's much easier if the person who's taking your blood pressure, does it while you're laying down. So Ohio, I think you should lay down. You will get blood pressures in both of your arms. Get one, get the other. You'll get it in both of your ankles. So you'll slip that cuff, or the nurse will slip the cuff on, or your spouse or your friend will slip the cuff over your foot and just above the ankle. We'll get the blood pressure in your left leg, you get the blood pressure in your right leg, okay? Then you're going to take the highest top number of the arm and use that blood pressure. And you're going to take the highest blood pressure of the ankles and use that blood pressure. Systolic, the top number. And you're going to take the ankle divided by the arm, ankle brachial index. So the ankle systolic blood pressure divided by the arm blood pressure. So hopefully that answers your question on how we should take that. And then the number you get, the magic number should be somewhere between 0.9 or 1, about 1 and 1.4. That is the sweet spot, okay? If it's off, hey, looks like my blue wrenchers are on. Thank you for being here, Lucy. I appreciate it. She's working hard over there on YouTube, so give kudos to Lucy. She is one of my Blue Wrench moderators, and she's working hard by taking care of or cleaning up some of the YouTube over there. So Ohio, great question. Clayton, it sounds like that's not a medical question, so I don't need to deal with stuff like that. All right. Okay. All right. So let's just talk a little bit about muscle health. Muscle is very important. In fact, you've probably heard me say that muscle is the organ of longevity. With that being said, a low amount of muscle, called sarcopenia, starts to occur as we age. So as we're aging, we are going to have problems with muscle loss. Obesity causes muscle loss. Muscle loss is sarcopenia. Having muscle and having strength are markers of health. They're also markers of feeling and looking good, okay? Again, I have some blue wrenchers over there, and if you are not asking questions, you're going to be dismissed. I don't need any rude comments or any comments that doesn't add to how people are learning. And so if you have something to say, you know, I hope that you will, yeah. I think I might do some help with Lucy. She's struggling over there, keeping up. Yes, Logan, I am a family practice physician. I am located in the United States in Iowa. So thank you for being here. When we have low muscle mass, it puts us at risk of falling, having fractures. It increases our risk of having insulin resistance or diabetes. Why muscle matters? It burns more calories when you're just at rest sitting, okay? When you have loss of muscle mass, it's going to decrease your resting metabolism, your basal metabolic rate. As mentioned prior, it decreases if we have no muscle or low muscle mass, our mobility and our quality of life are diminished. We have less balance, less strength, less flexibility when we have low muscle mass. As mentioned prior, more muscle, it acts like a sponge to soak up blood sugar. When we eat and blood sugar spikes, 80% of that is used by the muscle. So you can see where, you know, if you're going to eat a crapola diet, at least you want to have more muscle. Bone health actually relies on muscle as well. Anytime you flex, contract, and relax, you are causing tugging on the bones. Muscle, the tugging by when you flex and contract, lift, resistance training, whenever the muscle contracts, it's going to tug on the bone, and that tugging strengthens the bone. So you're less likely for osteopenia or even osteoporosis. When we get older, it's much harder for us to build muscle. And that is actually called anabolic resistance. okay? Shelley, I'll get to that question. Please, if you have a question, please put it with a question mark so I can pick it out right away. Shelley's question just popped up because it was in regards to muscle. Thank you. So if somebody were to ask me what type of exercise I think is most important, again, exercise that you're going to do, but if there's a better one, it would be resistance training. Muscle mass helps to keep anabolic resistance at bay. We want to build muscle. It becomes harder when it becomes harder when we get older. The ability to put on muscle, because we lack the ability for protein synthesis much as when, that's why kids, they can eat crap like McDonald's and still grow muscle, but not adults. Because as we get older, it's gonna get harder and harder, despite the fact that you're lifting weights. So you need even more protein. You need even more saturated animal fat, and you need to lift weights. Simply doing cardio is actually causing atrophy of your muscles, okay? There was well, I'll get to that, but there was a study that I recall reading, you know, when we're talking about lean people versus obese people, because as we age and if we're obese, our muscle mass goes down. And there was a study when we're talking about GLP, because you know, guys, that GLP-1s are becoming more and more prevalent, right? Because of we're a population of obese people. And the tendency is to start taking a GLP-1, like Ozempic or Zepbound or Mounjaro, Wegovy. Those are other names for the GLPs. In fact, Mounjaro and Zepbound are actually GLP-GIPs. That's beside the point. But those particular medicines cause weight loss. But you can't just simply take a medicine that causes weight loss and say, I only want to lose fat. That would be like saying, I'm just going to exercise and I only want to lose fat. There's possibilities for that, but taking a medicine doesn't always equate weight loss with fat loss. In fact, the more rapid the weight loss, the more likely is that you are losing muscle mass. That weight loss is not purely fat. And that rapid weight loss, which causes muscle mass loss, is very hard to gain back. And now it's toppling over, and now your bones are weaker, and you're basically malnourished because you're not eating as much. That's what GLP does. It helps to tell your brain you're not hungry, tell your stomach you're full. That is what GLP is doing. But there was a study done that was really interesting. It was in 1996 in Scandinavia, and it was on athletes and GLP and obese people and GLP. And I was always under the impression that diabetics and obese people have less GLP. Okay? Now, is that true? Maybe. But what the study that was done in 1996, which, I mean, that is a long time ago. In fact, most of the GLPs actually didn't start coming to the market for diabetes until 2012-ish, okay? That's when they started really hitting the market. So this is in 1996, a Scandinavian study was done on GLP in the gut, which is where it's made, okay? If you were to eat a fatty meal, just fatty meal, a lean and an obese person will raise GLP about the same level with a fatty meal. However, when that same study gave a high carb meal, the lean person still raised their GLP, but the obese people did not. In fact, a high carb meal in an obese person caused a decrease in GLP. So maybe that's where I get the idea that obesity and diabetes have less GLP. Because really, in order for them to get obese and to get diabetic, they had to have elevated blood sugar. And elevated blood sugar raises insulin. You cannot make a fat cell fatter without insulin. It's just facts. And that's probably what got me going. But I've always been one for muscle. You know, most of you who know me well know that I was a bodybuilder in many years ago, and it was something that I find that is very aesthetically pleasing, and I also believe that it's quite healthy. Ohio asks, I always tell people that the body is like a car engine. Fluids in the engine need to circulate, like the human circulatory system. A car in the garage rusts. Yeah, it does. You got to use it, right? Lone Wolf says, what you think about weightlifting and calisthenics for older people? I don't think it matters what your age is. I think everybody should be doing some sort of resistance training. And, you know, I think the tendency is, as you age, or if you're female, that, oh, I'm just going to do some light weights and I'm going to do just 10 reps or whatever. You actually need, for benefit, you need to do that particular set of reps to failure, every set to failure. Now, if I was choosing low weights, like a 10-pound weight, I might be able to do 100 reps just to get to failure. I don't think I want to be in the gym that long. So I'm going to choose a 25-pound weight or a 30-pound weight, and I can get to failure in 10 or 12 reps. If it starts getting too easy, I'm going to increase the weight. Calisthenics are important. When I think of calisthenics, I think about stretching and flexibility and lifting your body through space. But you're used to carrying your body through space every single day. You get up from a chair, you get up from a lying or seated position, and you move through your house, and you move through the grocery store. That it has to be over and above that, because you're atrophying. I mean, if you're older, you've noticed that your body is starting to get, you know, maybe skinny fat. You got a lot of hanging skin, you got some fat, and you don't have any muscle. So calisthenics don't necessarily build muscle. You need to do some sort of resistance, whether it be with bands or weights, kettlebells, that sort of thing, okay? But initially starting, I mean, I've taught people in my patient exam rooms, you know, how to do sit to squats. Sit to stand, I mean. So they squat down, sit on the chair, holding tight, and then stand up. You would be surprised, well, maybe not, but I wasn't surprised that most people cannot do 5 reps in a row of sitting to standing, sitting and staying tight. They either have to use their hands, and that's okay at first, but you can see where our posterior chain of our glutes and our hamstrings, our calves, that posterior chain is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. We can't get off the toilet. We can't get off our chair. And so that's why strengthening exercises help to maintain that muscle mass and to help to preserve our functioning and mobility as we get older. So think about weightlifting over calisthenics, but you should include calisthenics. How about that? Joel, I don't know how to take that. A lot of exercise gurus have leather skin because of all that they have took through their lives. Could well be. I don't know what you're referring to, but I think I do. Yes, R. Kelly, I would agree with you. Christine, let us know how things go with your psychiatrist. Peter, are you referring to me? And if so, I think that we could probably do without your comments, even if it was to somebody else, okay? So Peter, that's not what this is about over here. If you have a question, great, but if you don't, yeah, we don't need those kinds of comments. So thank you for being here. Two-party illusion, happy Sunday to you as well. I'm glad you're home safe from Boston, thank you. Best ways to reduce visceral fat, ask Beast Medic. Let me make sure there's nothing over here on Instagram. Oh, there is a good question. Hold tight for me. I will get to that next, okay? How do we reduce visceral fat? One, visceral fat is from a few different things. Alcohol increases visceral fat significantly. Fructose increases visceral fat significantly. So decreasing or abstaining from fruit and alcohol is in your best interest, okay? That will decrease visceral fat. Also, anything that raises insulin, which is glucose, which is carbs, will increase visceral fat. So the more sugar, the more insulin. And then when we get hyperinsulinemic, fat cells get fatter and we start building up fat in places where it's not supposed to be, which is the viscera. We should not have deep visceral fat. A lot of people have subcutaneous fat. Some people have deep subcutaneous fat, which is just about as bad as visceral fat. But yeah, visceral fat is not so good. So getting rid of alcohol, getting rid of fruit, decreasing all carbohydrates. And I would say sprinting is one of the best ways to get rid of visceral fat, along with fasting. Now, are you ready to fast yet? If your insulin level is elevated, I would suggest maybe doing a few other things first. But yes, fasting is one of the fastest way to remove visceral fat. Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate having you help out Christine. A question from Instagram from McPhee. I just got my calcium score back. It's 12. I'm 58. What does it mean for me long term? P.S. You're amazing. Thank you for your kind words, McPhee. I appreciate that. I would need a little bit more information. You're 58. Did you have a calcium score prior to this one? Okay. 12 is not that bad. It's not 0, but it's pretty low. Okay. I would want to know what your triglyceride level is, your HDL level. I want to know your insulin level. I would like to know your waist size, your blood sugar level, your blood pressure. So I don't know what the 12 means to you because I don't have enough context. And so if you provide that to me, or if you would like to go over all of the minute details that I go over and you want to sign up for a consultation, email me at IronLadyDoc@AOL.com. Iron, IronLadyDoc@AOL.com. Thank you. All right. McPhee also says that they have stage 1 lipedema in their legs. And the best way to reduce that fat is with it tells me that your insulin level is probably pretty high. And if you have lipedema in your legs, you likely have visceral fat as well. I'm guessing that you are insulin resistant, probably diabetic, and going on a low carb or no carb diet would be in your best interest. Ooh, good question. Layla asks, if you're disabled or can't sprint, what are your alternatives? You could do bike, you could race on the bike, pedal really, really hard for 30 seconds and then back off, then 30 seconds. It's kind of like Tabata, if you've ever heard of that. You can do, one of the ones I like to do is that ski machine where you're pulling down on the ropes. You're pulling down on the rope. It's at my gym. Another one, you can use the rowing machine. And what we're trying to do is sprint for 5, 10 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, and then back off. What I like to do is I will go do the ski machine or walk really fast. I mean, almost like a run, but a walk on a treadmill. Or I'll do the rowing machine for 30 seconds. Then I'll jump off and go lift weights for 5 or 10 minutes. Then I'll jump back on one of those machines and race for 30 seconds. It helps me. It's like a sprint. I'm not going to go sprinting. If I do, I always hang on. I don't go sprinting outside, although that would be great. Just right now in Iowa, well, you can do it. I'm giving you excuses. I do like to do the machines better because I like to go to the gym and be around people. So those are ideas if you can't sprint on your legs and feet, okay? Sheila, thank you. I appreciate you as well. My brother's is 750. I'm guessing his calcium score. All else is normal BMI. There's something else going on, McPhee. I would probably need to look at all of the labs, okay? Looks like people are busy over here. Good morning, 1910. Thanks for being here among all the other comments that My friend Lucy is over there. Here's RM. Good morning, RM. Thanks for being here. You've missed about 27 minutes of Lucy taking care of business over there on YouTube. Okay. Hello. Retail My Ride says, I highly recommend working with Dr. Jensen. Her consultations are life-changing. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that. It always means a lot to hear back from you guys, to see how you're doing and going, moving forward. Ken, what's good advice to make friends at the gym? Well, that's a good question, talking to them. One of the things I like to do if I don't know anybody, I just ask them, hey, how long have you been working out? You look like you got great form, or something to that, or I saw you working out over there. You look like you've been doing this for a long time. I don't have problems making friends at the gym. I seem to probably be talking too much than not enough. And a lot of people know that I'm a doctor, and I do get a lot of questions in that regards. But sometimes, I'm listening to podcasts when I work out. I don't listen to music very, very rarely. I'm always listening to podcasts. And there's a few of my buddies where I try to bounce things off of, and I say, hey, can I practice on you? And I'll give them, kind of like a question, a series of questions, and I want to get how they would answer those questions. And it's very fascinating. And so it does help me. And so I'm probably talking to them when I'm probably ruining their, ruining their workouts. But they always smile, and they always say, oh, Dr. J, what is fasting glucose number that makes you insulin resistant? Well, it isn't a certain glucose number. I believe that doctors are mainly glucose centric. They're constantly looking at glucose. And if they're not looking at glucose, or they're looking at glucose and they're looking at A1C, I don't necessarily think those two values alone are enough. When we're glucose centric, we tend to dismiss a lot of early diabetics. And the only way that we can catch it way in advance is getting an insulin level. And so it's the insulin level that's high that tells me you're insulin resistant. Insulin resistance on one side of the coin is high insulinemia, high insulin in the blood. On the other side of the coin is actually being insulin resistance. I know it sounds like a play on words, but insulin resistance is hyperinsulinemia and insulin resistance. So how do you know if you're insulin resistant? Get an insulin level. An insulin level, despite the fact that it's up and down through the day, it's still a pretty good indication of whether or not you're insulin resistant. A normal, optimal insulin level is between 3 and 5. 3 and 5. Anything above that, you're likely insulin resistant. And we can pick up diabetes in an insulin resistant person sometimes upwards to 10 years in advance. So it's important that we get an insulin level. And I think more doctors are getting on board with this. I really do. And if they're not on board with it, just ask them for it. If they decline, go get it yourself. If you need help ordering your labs, and your doctor won't do it, I can order your labs. The only caveat is if I order your labs, it's out of your own pocket. Now, that wouldn't matter so much if you have an HSA, because you're just going to turn in the receipt that, hey, you got labs, there are medical labs at a medical lab place, and you'll usually be able to use your HSA money for that health savings account. So, all right, get an insulin level. But if you can't get your labs checked, just email me, and I will order them for you through a lab that you can probably find a draw station in your area, like Quest or LabCorp or someplace like that, okay? So email me at IronLadyDoc@AOL.com, IronLadyDoc@AOL.com. If, to add to that, Pran says that, I'm guessing your glucose level is greater than 126, or you're saying what glucose level. Again, 126 to me is an A1C of 6.0. And you are already diabetic. You're not just insulin resistant, you're diabetic. That is not insulin resistance to me. That's not even pre-diabetes. The ADA will tell you, I hate to even speak their name, but they will tell you that if your A1C is 7 or less, you're okay. And I will tell you that by the time we find diabetics, even at 6.0, they've had a lot of beta cell burnout. And had we checked their insulin level years ago, we would have known that they are insulin resistant. Before blood sugars start to rise up to what Pran said is 126, they've been insulin resistant for 5 to 10 years. So you're causing damage, kidney damage, heart damage, artery damage, eye damage, big toe damage. You're causing all the problems because we didn't look in advance. And then we might not even, at Pran says, well, what 126, the doctor might say, hey, your blood sugar's a little high. Probably should work on that. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll work on it. Does that mean work on it, keep eating the exact same foods to keep raising the blood sugar? Don't exercise so they keep the blood sugar up? Or should you exercise, right? And follow a low carb diet? Because the reason your blood sugar is going up that high is because you have too much glucose in your blood from likely too many carbs, although there's a few other caveats to that, okay? All right, but yeah, Pran's, thank you for that, but okay. It's more importantly to check a combination, your A1C, your blood sugar, and your fasting insulin. God from heaven, I love iron. I'm a retired iron worker. I'm a iron lifter. I lift weights. That's where I got my name, IronLadyDoc. So thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. Any advice for chronic pain and cramps? I'm guessing that's what you meant. Austin, I would probably have some extensive labs done. I would see your doctor. If you would like me to help you review your labs once you get those back, I'd be happy to. God from heaven has an A1C of 5.3. I think that's awesome. RM says, not everyone at the gym wants to make friends. When I'm at the gym, I want to focus on my workout and fitness goals. RM, I am guessing that you're a young person, and I used to be just like you. Nobody would dream of talking to me in the gym. I mean, I had my headphones on, and I was 100% focused and in the zone. And you were at your own risk when you would come up to me. Again, it wasn't that bad. I would usually smile, but I think from a distance, people seeing me, they said, whoa, she is into this. And I always worked out with other guys or with guys and with men. I suppose I lifted with older men as well. Lifting with a girl was just not in my best interest. I needed to be pushed. And actually, I got a lot out of pushing my guy friends into lifting heavier, okay? They surely don't want to be outperformed by some weenie little small petite girl. So 1910 says, I love your advice. I have early lipedema, and the only one in my family think it's from a bad sweet tooth in my 20s. Absolutely. That's a condition that can certainly lead to lipedema. It's high insulin. It's insulin resistance and hyperinsulinemia that is working against us. And so, most people who have lipedema also have underlying diabetes, and it really should be looked into. So instead of just working on cutting those carbs, just get rid of them, 1910. Just get rid of it. You can be working on it for years, and you'll find excuses. Just get rid of them. Okay? There's no essential carbohydrates. None. Zero. How much is too many antibiotics in 1 year? Any antibiotics in 1 year is too much. You've been on it 5 times. I don't know if it's Jose or how to pronounce, but yeah, that is not good. You're likely being treated for something that you do not have, okay? Taking that many antibiotics is not in your best interest. There's something else going on that you're requiring that many rounds of antibiotics. Daddy, Daddy-O, New York City, I do not invite people into live videos, but thank you for asking. Did I miss any questions over here? No. Okay. My friend A1C is 6.8 and she's doing nothing about it. There's nothing you can do, Lucy. They are the makers of their own change. All you can do is lead by example. You can inspire them, but the harder you work to change them, the worse and more resistant they are going to get. They will actually resist your wanting them to change, okay? But if you inspire them, that could take time, but you can inspire them to think it's their own idea to change and make a difference. But yeah, Lucy, your friend is diabetic. And you want something really, really bad for them, but they don't want it for themselves. So there's not a lot you can do. Eve says, I have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I'm sorry to hear that. That can be reversed though. It can be reversed. Correct, Lucy. I do not prescribe medicines even to people in Iowa. I have a license in Iowa, and that is why leaving my current practice, my medical consultation business is for information purposes only. Mr. I'm an alcoholic. I'm sorry to hear that, but you can reverse that as well, okay? It's going to take some effort on your part, and it's going to take help, okay? But the first step was you admitting it. Layla, unexplained severe edema, the lipedema. If you would like, we could go over some labs. Consider doing a consultation. If you're finding that numerous doctors are not addressing what the cause is, maybe they're just not looking at the right thing. So Layla, consider a consultation and by emailing me at IronLadyDoc@AOL.com. You'll need an extensive set of labs. If you don't know what those labs are, I can send you a list. I do not charge to send you a list of labs that I think are pertinent. Oh, thank you, Alan. You think I'm a kind doctor, but I think that you're a kind person for telling me that. So thank you for being kind. I appreciate it. Pran, I agree with you and having an evaluation for cardiovascular disease. I agree. Macrovascular disease is occurring, but microvascular disease we overlook too. So yeah, gosh, so many good points you guys are bringing up. Okay. Yeah, email me, Layla, and I'll send you the labs that I like to get, and maybe a couple of them or a few of them might be missing from what you have, and you can just get them and prior to our consultation. Oh, Price, I really don't know how to connect with the industry in regards to your invention. It sounds cool though. Thanks for sharing, but yeah, I don't know much about connecting with the industry in that regards. Finding somebody who will, who will provide funds for you to get the ball rolling. Sometimes finding somebody privately who believes in you is the best. That's the best type of funding. Austin, I get it. Chronic, resistant, widespread pain, fibromyalgia. Like I said, if you're having some troubles, you need to see your doctor. But if you need help going over your labs, I could maybe, bring up something that you or they didn't think about. How about that? I must have missed the first part of your question, Regina, but if you have a question, either do a super chat or something like that, or put question marks in front. I try to get to all of the questions, but if you want your question bumped up to the top, do a super chat. That's probably the best way to do that. And while we're paused right here, if you guys aren't already subscribed, please subscribe. please hit the thumbs up or the heart and like this, share it. Please share it to all of your other social media platforms. We just get the word out, okay? Just getting the word out. The questions you have or questions that somebody else is asking might be relevant for somebody who, when you share your stuff with, that it makes a difference. So go ahead and click that thumbs up button right now, okay? Okay. Okay, Denise, I'm not sure what your question is, but I did read your comment. I don't understand, but thank you. AU says, the only vitamin I take is D3, but that's because we hardly get any sun in the UK. Prior to taking your vitamin D3 supplement, did you check your vitamin D level? Did you check your stored vitamin D level? And did you check your active vitamin D level? Because simply taking vitamin D, randomly taking vitamin D, could lower your vitamin A too much. And if you lower your vitamin A, you might not be able to have enough ceruloplasmin. And if you don't have enough ceruloplasmin, you don't have enough copper. And if you don't have enough copper, you could be driving iron to get locked up inside your liver. So simply taking vitamin D without checking levels and see if you need it could be a detriment. Just saying. Dara says, I suffer from severe depression. I'm sorry to hear that. I took SSRIs, I'm guessing something like Lexapro or Zoloft or Celexa or Paxil or Prozac. Those are all SSRIs. And it's a little better, but every day, it's a little better every day, but I'm still having panic attacks. What shall I do? Dara, I think, one, you're on the right road to recovery because you're asking really important questions. You know that taking an SSRI is helping a little bit, but if that was really your problem, would taking selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors make a difference? More so in the context of where's our diet? Are we taking, thank you very much. Who just left that? Eve, thank you. I'll get to your question here in a second. I'll finish answering the other question, but simply taking an SSRI or any medication is simply masking things that we shouldn't be masking, because we could trace this back to a root cause. And so what I talked about yesterday is asking why. Why are you depressed? Why are you having panic attacks? Well, because I'm sad. Why are you sad? Well, I'm sad because blah, blah, blah. Is simply just taking a medication the answer? I say not, because you've actually only got a little bit of improvement. Maybe sleeping more, maybe getting out in the sun more, even if it's in the winter and you just get it on your face. An exercise routine, consistently exercising. All of these things make a difference. And it sounds like the knee-jerk reaction for a doctor is to put you on a medication, when I think that should be one of the last options. Okay? Eve, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. What's the relationship between an A1C of 5.6 and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? Does one worsen the other? Okay, let's first talk about that first part of the question. What is the relationship between an A1C of 5.6 and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, 5.9 tell me that you are likely have underlying diabetes, okay? you likely have underlying diabetes, even though your A1C is at 5.6. So I would get an insulin level. Even though your A1C is at 5.6, you could have an insulin level of 15. And that insulin level of 15, high insulinemia, high insulin in the blood, is leading to visceral fat buildup, ectopic fat buildup, okay? That is your alcoholic fatty liver disease, and most doctors would miss it by only looking at an A1C of 5.6 and say, hey, Eve, you're great, you're good to go, I'll see you in a year, you don't have diabetes. When in reality, if you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, you have hyperinsulinemia. That is diabetes until proven otherwise. So does one worsen the other? Your non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that fat is very inflammatory. And it releases, when the fat cells get so fat, they start to leak. They leak out all kinds of stuff like fatty acids, and they leak out cytokines and other inflammatory markers. And then it makes the whole body inflamed. And so the combination of high blood sugars, high insulin, inflammation, that is a setup for having cardiovascular disease, stroke, or heart attack. It's a tough position to be in. So yes, they work together, they worsen each other, but it's reversible even. That is the good news. Also, without diet change, I gained 80 pounds after COVID. So you have to think to yourself, what occurred during that, 2020 to 2023, 24-ish? You're stressed, you're less active, you might be eating crapola, so poor choice of foods that you're eating. Your diet didn't really change. Maybe you were eating a crapola diet before, but the combination of the crapola diet, the lack of activity, the stress, not getting outside, maybe putting a mask over your face, blocking toxin release. There's all kinds of stuff. And I'm sorry to hear that that's going on, but again, these things can be reversed. All of it can be reversed, okay? Jay Rich says, what is the best pain reliever to take that's over the counter? But I am also having a hard chronic pain that I take heavier meds to help, to help with severe pain. Jay Rich, it sounds like you might need a consultation. I do not recommend over-the-counter pain relievers. I would subtract things first before taking new things or adding things. And a lot of times that starts with decreasing or getting rid of all carbohydrates, all sugar, all carbohydrates, okay? But consider a consultation. Just email me at IronLadyDoc@AOL.com, okay? Depression came after migraine attacks and PMS symptoms. That's not uncommon, is to have some sort of ailment that leads to depression. So taking an SSRI isn't going to help your migraines and isn't going to help your PMS, okay? Likely going on an elimination diet of meat, salt, and water will give you an idea just how your symptoms of migraines and PMS relate to your diet. Okay. All of those things could be, Derek, could be culprits. RM says, I'm looking into help, so therapy, I'm guessing, for trauma. So we all have trauma from our childhood, because I feel like I coped with the trauma with food, and that is not uncommon. We have all kinds of survival mechanisms to protect our little people inside of us that got traumatized. One of those things could be food, could be alcohol, could be money. It could be self-sabotaging, putting yourself down because you're so used to it. But there's that. That's awesome, RM, that you're looking into the help and looking into what therapy can do for you. Sonia says, can I ask about my Crohn's? You can. Ask away. No, kick butt. My iron in Iron Lady Doc stands for weightlifting. So I did not do Iron Men and Women. I did not do those competitions. I did bodybuilding competitions, and I also did not work with iron. I'm not an iron worker. I'm an iron lifter. I lift weights. Ryan says, I've gone to doctors and they can't figure out what's wrong with my temperature. It won't regulate. A lot of times, do you know where I've seen this? Is, one, getting labs. You need to get labs. Get extensive thyroid labs. Get extensive cholesterol. Get extensive labs. If you need a list of labs, Ryan, just email me at IronLadyDoc@AOL.com. I would definitely get iron studies. Definitely gets iron studies. But I've also seen this with people who lack iodine. I've seen it in people who have iron overload. I have seen it in people who are eating a ton of processed foods that have polyunsaturated fatty acids, so PUFAs. PUFAs are, the seed oils. Seed oils can cause dysregulation of your body temperature. But we're seeing temperature lower and lower and lower as time goes on. And that is not normal. We are under a lot more stress. We're in fight or flight modes, which helps us to dysregulate our body temperature. But yeah, I've noticed that over the years of seeing patients that their body temperature is sitting around 98. I've even seen it at 97. And that in older people is, a sign that they could be sick, but it's also a sign that their metabolism, their mitochondria are not very healthy. So I look at the cellular level and say, hey, if you're not regulating your body temperature, something at the cellular level, thank you, Tammy, I appreciate that. Go 2026, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate your kindness and your generosity. The body temperatures are going down, I believe, not so much as because of lack of exercise, although that's a part. It's not so much that we're having heavy metal toxicity, although that's a part. It's high sugar in our diet. It's high polyunsaturated fatty acids in the form of seed oils and omega-6s. So maybe they're just looking in all the wrong places, but maybe you hearing this might get you to make changes in your diet. And again, an elimination diet will tell you a lot. We got to get your metabolism up. Having body fat and visceral fat, that's white fat, and it's not very metabolically active. White fat is not metabolically active, whereas brown fat is super metabolically active, okay? It's brown because of all the mitochondria. And one of the fastest ways, the question is, can you alter your white fat and make more brown fat? Well, you can't really turn white fat into brown fat, but you could turn it into beige fat. And how do you do that? I'm glad you asked. You could increase your beige fat by getting into ketosis. Ketosis helps increase mitochondria and help change white fat to beige fat, not completely brown fat, but beige. Also, cold plunges. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of cold. I dress warm. But looking into cold plunges or cold showers, or just the alternation. Maybe you do hot sauna and then cold shower, hot sauna. Maybe that contrast can help stimulate those mitochondria. And we gather more ATP, okay? More energy. We also we got to get rid of those carbs. There's nothing that's going into ketosis actually helps improve our basal metabolic rate, more so than carbohydrates, okay? Michelle, if you're having problems with your recurrent laryngeal nerve, I would the cause. You aren't just out of the blue having problems with the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Jay Rich, it sounds like you got a lot of medical concerns, and maybe it would be something to talk about on a consult. But just so you know, autoimmune disorders from inflammation, one of the most common causes of autoimmune disorders is high polyunsaturated fatty acids and carbohydrates. So lowering those two things might improve both of your conditions. G Irish says, I can't sleep at night, doc. I used to study at night. All of us did. But now I can't get back to sleeping at night. So that tells me that your circadian rhythm is all messed up. All messed up. And so some of the things that we do that are naughty is we eat when it's dark time. We should be not eating when it's dark, and we should be sleeping when it's dark. Thank you, Nisa, I appreciate the gift. We should be focusing on, I know why they asked me about my glasses. Sorry, you guys. Let me clean that off. And that helped a little bit. I don't know. I actually cleaned my glasses prior to starting this, because I don't like to not be able to see, but I can see fine. So the sleeping is actually resetting your circadian rhythm. And I'm guessing because you're not sleeping at night when you should be, that you're under chronic stress, or your sympathetic nervous system is higher than your parasympathetic nervous system. They should be in balance. And when we're out of balance, we have a higher sympathetic tone compared to parasympathetic tone, we got to lower the sympathetic tone and bring up our parasympathetic tone. Remember, sympathetic tone is activating. Thank you again, Nisa, I appreciate it. Or Nessa, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Hopefully I'm not messing it up too much. But sympathetic is activating. It's fight or flight. It's chronic stress, epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline. So it's pumping you up. And so at night, when you should be sleeping, you're pumped up. You're under stress. We need to actually decrease that stress and increase parasympathetic tone. And you can look up vagal tone exercises or parasympathetic tone exercises, simple breathing exercises, humming, getting outside in the sun. These things help to increase parasympathetic tone. So look those up, parasympathetic tone exercises. Okay. RM, if you're seeing racial slurs, just go ahead and eliminate those comments, okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Jared, do you specialize in anything, or are you just a general physician? I don't think you meant just, because actually I am a family physician and I must know a lot about everything. So I should say, do you just specialize in anything, or are you an all over doc? Well, I guess I'm an all over doc. I know you didn't mean it like that, but no, I'm family practice. I would call myself a general practitioner, I suppose, a primary care physician. That's what I do. Thank you, Nessa. I appreciate your kindness with the gifts. Yeah, AU, that does make a difference, the chain of events. Ryan asks, how can I overcome male infertility? So Ryan, you're telling me that you had a sperm analysis. You sent your sperm in to have it analyzed for the number of sperm as well as the motility of the sperm? Is that what you've done, Ryan? You went to a fertility specialist? If you're on clomiphene, is that to increase the number of sperm? Is there something, instead of adding something like the clomiphene, what is the cause of the male infertility? You said, how do I overcome it? But what's the cause? So Ryan, it sounds like maybe you could benefit from having a consultation and we can go over things. Again, I would want to see extensive labs, and maybe I could elicit some ideas for you to take back to your primary care or your specialist. Let's see. I don't know how to answer your question. If you have not had a bowel movement for a month, something's going on. I don't even know what the 2,000 calories per day is. Are you eating hot tamales? 2,000 calories of hot tamales? Oh, thank you, Fifth River. I appreciate that. Fifth River says, I watch your videos every day. Thank you. Please hit the like and the thumbs up and all that clickety-clack work. Share it all. Subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel. Share it. Pass it on to somebody who might gain some insight. Bella says, hello, Jesus loves you. I know he does, and I love him. You're very welcome, Dara. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your support. Yeah, I agree, Roadrunner. Sometimes clinical depression, you have no idea why you're depressed. That's why you got to continue asking the question, why? Get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And, it takes a very humble person to want to go deep enough where you start to experience pain. When you ask deep questions, it brings out things that you never wanted to, you were hiding, that you didn't really want to bring to the forefront. And it's difficult, okay? It's hard to be that vulnerable, even with yourself, even in private. It's hard to be that vulnerable and to admit that you have hurts that are much deeper. And that's what's causing your depression, is these things that are, you don't want to, you've suppressed them or repressed them, hidden them away. So if you hide it and you put up a wall around it, that you don't have to deal with it, yet it still keeps creeping out and leaking out, and you still get sad and you still get blue and you don't even know why. But that's something inside of you telling you to look deeper. You're getting clues, you're getting signs. It's kind of like your body, when you get a muscle ache and pain, you say, well, what's that from? You just don't go, oh, I got a muscle ache and pain, and you just take the Motrin. No, I say, well, why? Oh, and you remember I raked the lawn 3 days ago. And you go, that's why. See, you're not asking the whys, okay? Get vulnerable with yourself and talk. Ohio says, with your consult, do you have tailored workout regimen for specific age and gender? No, I can help you with a workout program that's tailored just for you, Ohio, not just some random exercise routine based on your age and whether you're male or female, okay? Let's see, are there any questions? Please put a question mark or do a super chat to get your questions answered. Thank you again for the super chats. I really appreciate it, as well as the super stickers and the gifts. Thank you. Yeah, Chris, actually seed oils can take longer than a year. I have seen studies where upwards to 5 to 7 years that seed oils can stay in our system. I mean, imagine that. It's just like every time you have pizza, you got another 5 years of having the seed oils in your body. Seed oils, I'll just give you one reason why I avoid seed oils at all costs. Our cell membranes, every cell in our body has a cell membrane. Every cell membrane is made of fat and cholesterol. If that membrane fat is polyunsaturated fatty acid, it's more at risk of being attacked. I call it oxidized. Whereas saturated fat in my cell membranes doesn't have any risk of being oxidized or damaged. So polyunsaturated fatty acids means they have many double bonds in their chains of carbon atoms. I don't want those double bonds because those are the areas that can be attacked and cause oxidation, cause rusting, cause reactive oxygen species to kill my cells. That I'm all about having the healthiest cells I can. And then inside the cells, I want the best mitochondria and the best endoplasmic reticulum and the best Golgi bodies and all of that stuff. I want my cells inside and out being the healthiest ever. And seed oils do not play a part in that because when they get embedded into my cell membrane, they attract damage. They also make me more insulin resistant. Why? Because if that cell membrane has seed oils, polyunsaturated fatty acids on the membrane, that PUFA destroys the lipid raft inside my cell membrane, inside the cell membrane. What is a lipid raft? It's like a dock. Think of the dock on the lake, and it has your boat attached to the dock. Okay, it's tied up. Your boat is tied up to the dock, and the dock is the lipid raft. If that lipid raft is not healthy, okay, GLUT4 can't dock there. Your boat can't dock there. GLUT4 is your boat. The dock is the lipid raft. In order for GLUT4 to dock, you need a lipid raft, and it needs to be healthy. GLUT4 needs to come to the surface to accept the knock from insulin to let glucose come into the cell. That's how polyunsaturated fatty acids cause insulin resistance, okay? PUFAs damage the lipid raft. So GLUT4 has nowhere to dock. If GLUT4 has nowhere to dock, there's no door for insulin to knock on to say, hey, I got some sugar out here in the bloodstream that needs to get into the cells, and it's not that you can't get it in. There's no receptor. Are there other receptors besides GLUT4? Yes, but that is the main receptor. And if PUFAs damage the docking station for that GLUT4, then insulin, you just become more and more resistant. The doors won't open just because insulin is knocking. So insulin says, hey, pancreas, I need more soldiers. Pump out more insulin. Maybe if we had more insulin soldiers, we could push that cell membrane open. It won't work. The cell is insulin resistant. It doesn't want any more to go in. Unless man, woman, doctor puts you on, I don't know, some metformin, some glucophage, right? They're going to put you on some metformin. And metformin is going to help all of those doors open up. So you have a cell that was resistant for a reason. It's protecting itself. That cell doesn't want any more energy, right? It's resistant. But you're going to take some metformin and force the glucose into the cell, even though there's not a receptor. There's no GLUT4 because you have polyunsaturated fatty acids. Your cell is dying. It's being oxidized, and you're pushing a whole bunch of blood sugar in there and a bunch of junk. And it's just getting fat and older and rusting, and it's just going to die. So we have old cells, and you wonder why you're inflamed and tired and brain fog and all of these things. It all goes back to what you're putting inside your body. Let's see. Dairy, I do not know what that is right offhand, so I can't answer your question. Sorry about that. Yeah, Ryan, sounds like that you got a lot of things that might need to be looked into, but consider consultation. Royal, thank you for your kind words. Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate your support. Moon, I think if you're having to ask that question, if your head is dizzy, if that's okay, you likely suspect that it's not okay, and I would agree with you. Ryan, the fact that you think that you've had an extensive labs done and you think they're fine, I bet I can find something that's not so fine, okay? And you can ask Retail My Ride, and you can ask Lucy, and you can ask a bunch of people who are listening right now who have had consultations with me, and I end up finding things that they would have never thought about or their doctor didn't think about, and they go, I guess that explains a lot. And sometimes it does. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I often see everything, but sometimes I can pick something out that you missed, Ryan, and consider it. That's all I can say. XD drugs, or do you need them at all? Okay. What is the diagnosis? What are your symptoms? So it's not something that I think about as psychiatric drugs. I think about all drugs. Why do we need any drug? What is the diagnosis? What is the why? I'm sorry to hear that, Grundle, about your high blood pressure. There's something else going on. The most common cause of high blood pressure is hyperinsulinemia. Dara, I would again go back to your diet, do an elimination diet for your depression and anxiety. Nice. I'm glad you're here, Ryan. Thank you, from live in London. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. I'm trying to read through. You Instagrammers are really quiet over there. You're just soaking up all the YouTube questions, aren't you? Oh, Lucy says she did do contrast. She did the sauna and cold plunging, back and forth. How many times did you go, Lucy? That's interesting. Blasian, I can talk about red light therapy, but what is your question? Let me know. Happy New Year, Gio. Thank you. Okay. RM says, I had an MRI for my brain. I declined contrast. My neurologist referred me to an MS specialist who wants me to do contrast. I am scared because of family history of kidney disease. Thoughts? I don't know what your kidney function is. Get a GFR as well as a cystatin C. A cystatin C. It's one of the best tests for kidney function. A microalbumin in your urine, so a urine microalbumin, so getting your urine checked and getting your cystatin C checked, and ask why, RM. Ask why you need a brain MRI. And is MS reversible? And if so, what reverses it? And if so, do you really need the diagnosis if you know that whatever you have can be reversed by simple elimination of things instead of addition of things? Just some thinking for you, RM. Carrie says, hello, dear doc. Oh, hello, doc. My dear friend has been diagnosed with ME, herniated disc, migraines, hearing loss, long COVID. She reached out as determined to get well. Doctors told her there is no cure. ME. Sorry, what? Pretty sure it's a metabolic issue. It is. It's a metabolic issue. You're exactly right. Yeah, I would evaluate all of her labs. I would evaluate her medications, her diagnoses, her diet, her exercise routine, all of those things, Carrie, that you can do for her. You're smart enough. I know you. You are able to help her, but she has to want to be helped, okay? And it's going to cause her to be vulnerable and tell you things that she might not want to tell you, but she's got to be honest, okay? So, yeah. Yeah, Lucy, that's a great goal to eat, 4 p.m. Eat while it's light, right? Eat while it's light, sleep when it's dark. Okay. Oh, okay, Nessa. Okay, got it. Thank you for clarifying. Oh, unless it's Nisa, and then I didn't get it clarified. Is it long E or short E? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Phil. Yeah, stress can be damper on our sleep, but you can practice the little exercises, okay? You're the one that can. Thanks again, E, for the super chat. You can practice these things. You need to get better. You need to help yourself. You might not be able to help them. But Eve says, I currently have acute GI on day, wait, TMI, but I currently have acute GI on day 2, and I'm thinking about ordering Imodium AD. Is that going to help or just cover it up? So you have constipation? I'm not sure. Eve, can you help me out? I apologize. Is there a continuation of the question? Because I'm not understanding. So thank you for this out. And Blazin, can taking antibiotics cause more neurological damage? It can cause neurological damage on its own. I mean, antibiotics have side effects. All medicines stop a normal biologic process in our body. Okay? A normal biologic or physiologic process in our body by taking medications. And that could look like neurological issues. It could look like skin issues. It could look like heart issues or diabetes issues. But taking medications when not needed or with a bad diagnosis, a poor diagnosis, is not in your best interest. So yes, it could worsen that. James, I don't know what your question is. You're talking about low testosterone and microplastics, but if you have a question, let me know. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Kenneth, for subscribing. I appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up and subscribing. Pass it on to your friends. Share it on your other social media. Thank you, Dara, for subscribing. I appreciate it. Gio says, I learn something new every time I watch you. Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm glad to help. Hi, Tammy. Let me make sure. Carrie says, I will direct her to you if I can help her get kickstarted. Yeah, absolutely, Carrie. That sounds like a great idea. You're very welcome. James, I'm not sure. Why would AA be a shame? Is that it's a dedication? Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Okay, sorry about that. You guys continue on. Oh, yeah, USA, that's a great point. Yes, depression can be caused by tooth infections. Okay. When we have bad oral bacteria and we have so the first thing that you need to think about when you have gingivitis is you need to tell that person that they have a risk for dementia. They have a risk for all brain disorders, and that includes depression and anxiety and bipolar and Alzheimer's. All of those things can stem from our teeth, our gums, the bad bacteria that's in our mouth prevent the brain from getting adequate nutrition, nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, all because of our mouth. And so healing our mouth, USA is bringing this great point, USA, is telling everybody this, and it gets me to talk to you about that. That cleaning up your mouth, huge. Cleaning up your mouth helps your heart. Cleaning up your mouth decreases insulin resistance. Cleaning up your mouth improves your brain function. Okay, great. And tooth infections, what's that caused by? What are dental caries? The most common cause? Sugar. Get rid of the sugar. Get rid of the carbs. That's what's causing your tooth infections. That's what's feeding the bacteria in there. Okay? You guys are getting this. Good job. Yeah, Tammy, it is tough to take the negative bit. That's how a lot of times that's how we can excel. We have to humble ourselves and accept that, something that we're doing to ourselves is hurting ourselves, okay? But we have to want it. The change that takes place is not because somebody else wants it. It's because the person actually experiencing it has to want it more than anything else. And as I spoke about yesterday, most people tend to steer away from pain and things that are hard, okay? They tend to move toward easy and joyful. And sometimes that looks like food or alcohol or over-exercising or under-exercising or no sleep or too much sleep. But we got to change the mindset that sometimes when we do something, we're going to have to experience a little hard and a little pain in order to make improvements, okay? Natural human tendency, the way we are programmed, is to move away from hard and move away from pain. It's not all bad, because if you got a painful stimuli like a hot stove, you definitely want to move away from it. But we can't use that for everything in our life, okay? Zinnia, I don't know who you're referring to by asking your question, so be more specific. One Divine, thank you for being here. Well, you're welcome. Heart, mind, gut, I think it's more mind, body, which is our gut, spirit, that movement, mind, body, and spirit, all on equal plane. That is what has been the most inspiring for me. And helping you guys is helping you guys. But it's bringing the glory back to my Savior. I'm blessed because of what he has done for me, not for what I do for him or what I do for you. Although I have been asked to be a servant. So any believer in Christ has been asked, has been commanded to be a servant of other people. And so that is what I'm doing. But being a human and being a sinner also appreciates the fact of being noticed and being thanked. I need feedback just like everybody else. I could be called a doctor, but hey, I still put on my clothes the same way as you and brush my teeth and walk and do all those things exactly like everybody else. I'm no special. I just have some letters behind my name. And in all reality, in today's modern society, I don't know if that's really the best thing to have is those letters behind your name, because they don't have the best reputation these days, okay? And so the fact that I've jumped out of that matrix and I'm no longer that conventional doctor that looks at your lab and says, oh, you have high LDL, here's your statin. No, that's not me. I left that years ago. Yes, Eddie, iron sharpens iron. From a biblical point of view, iron sharpens iron. And so, Eddie, I thank you for sharpening me, okay? Proverbs 27:17. Thank you, Eddie. Blazin said, I've never been depressed, so I don't know how it feels. Well, you will know when it comes upon you. I didn't know pizza has seed oils. It does. Seed oils, polyunsaturated fatty acids are in the flour, are in the sauce, are in the cheese. It's in everything of the pizza, okay? So yeah, seed oils are prevalent. The terrible 8 are 3 C's, corn, canola, cottonseed. Those are the 3 C's, 3 S's, sunflower, safflower, soy, and then there's rice bran, and there's grapeseed. Those are the big 8 seed oils. So if you look in your pizza, in the ingredients of your pizza, I'm guessing you will find one, if not all 8 of those seed oils in your pizza. Yes, Blazin, even Chipotle uses seed oils. Oh, thank you, Lisa, for your kind words. I appreciate that. Okay, Shireen says, I admire your work and guidance. I would like to know, do you think fats are important in our diet? I do. Ghee, butter, coconut oil, absolutely. All of the above. I think saturated fats are the most important fats to have in our body, okay? Now, with that being said, you mentioned coconut oil. It is a saturated fat, but you're gonna say, Dr. Jensen, I thought you don't eat plants and coconut comes from a plant. And I would say, you are right. I do find a benefit in taking medium chain triglycerides, MCT. Coconut is one of those, okay? Medium chains, C8, C10, maybe C12, okay? I think they are very good for our body, very good for energy. Do they incorporate themselves into our cells? Not so much. Medium chain saturated fat and short chain saturated fat are meant to be born or burned. They're born to be burned. How about that? They're born to be burned. So I'm going to use medium chain and short chain fatty acids, like short chain, like butter or apple cider vinegar. Although I gave that up. I gave it up. I stick with butter, BHB. I want to know that we got beta hydroxybutyrate as just slam blast ketone right into my body, okay? But I do medium chain triglycerides as well, okay? I do MCT oil, and most commonly that comes from coconut oil. I drink it. I don't cook with it. It'll burn. Oh my gosh, will it burn? It has a very low burning point, and it'll smoke your whole house up. So I don't use that. To cook, I use butter and ghee and tallow. I do not, James, use olive oil. Olive oil is a monounsaturated fatty acid, but it's still got one double bond that can be oxidized. And I avoid olive oil. I couldn't trust whether that olive oil is in there or not. Now, with all of that being said, you guys know that you've heard me say, I eat meat, ruminant meat. Now, guess what? Ruminant meats have all of the fats that I need. They have saturated fat, they have monounsaturated fat, and they have polyunsaturated fats. I need the essential fats. Those are omega-3s and omega-6s. By eating meat, I get all of that. So you don't just eat something and it only has saturated fat in it. No, especially from an animal-based diet, I'm getting all of them because I need all of them. All right? So hopefully that makes sense to you. I'm not eliminating anything. You know, some people say, I'm going to avoid saturated fat at all costs. I'm never going to eat animals. I'm just going to eat vegan or vegetarian. Well, I hate to break this to you, but you're actually going to make saturated fat. If you do not eat them, you're going to make them. And you make them from carbs. You produce saturated fatty acids de novo in the liver from carbohydrates, right? That's how you get liver fat. So the more carbs, the more sugar, the more insulin, the more de novo fat production. And that, my friends, is saturated fat in the form of palmitic acid. Palmitic acid, C carbon 16. The number behind it means how many carbons are in a row? How long is that chain? 16 carbons long is C16. C12 is 12 carbons long. That's your medium chain triglyceride. It's 8, 10, 12. 12 is a little longer, but it's fine. It's still a medium chain, okay? So palmitic acid, they're not, palmitic acid is very inflammatory, okay? It's very inflammatory. Let's just say that. So you people who are actually trying to stay away from saturated fat, you're making it. And you people who say, I'm never going to eat saturated fat, but you drink coconut oil or MCT oil, I hate to break it to you, but I just told you that was saturated fat. So you are getting saturated fat. Okay? It's just a medium chain. There's so many nuances, and I love to just question people about that because they throw things at me and they think that they got it all figured out, and when really they don't. So you mean to say vegetable oils are bad? I do mean to say that. They are not oils at all and are not from vegetables. They are highly, highly processed, bleached, burnt, everything processed, okay? There is no good about a polyunsaturated seed oil. So yes, butter and ghee and tallow and lard are very healthy, despite what you've been told. Am I using a cord? Check your connection. Nope, I am not. It could be the internet, although the weather here is pretty nice. I think it's like 30 degrees. So thank you, Lucy, for checking in. So everything is okay over on is YouTube. Can you hear me? Should I go to the end? I will go to the end. Vegetable oil or seed oil. It's the same thing. Vegetable oil and seed oil is the same thing. Oh, good. Lucy, we're good. Okay. Thank you, Stephen, for confirming that you can hear me. Okay. So I had to skip to the end because I wanted to make sure everybody can hear me. So if you have a question, restate it because it's hard for me to go back. What did I look like when I was 20? About like what I look like now. Just a little younger. How's that for an answer? Are sardines and tuna good options? Good options for what? Omega-3s? Yes. Oh, sardines are much more than tuna, actually. Sardines are a great source of essential fatty acids, omega-3s. Great source for vitamin A and vitamin D. All great sources. So I eat sardines. I eat tuna maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. I used to eat it every day. I would eat 2-3 cans a day back when I was bodybuilding. Oh, so bad. So full of heavy metals. Such toxicity. I didn't know. But it's over. I can't go back. I can only move forward. I was right about the kale salad that you stopped? Well, good. What was I right about? Or was it somebody else? Now cabbage salad and Caesar salad. Might not be any better, but let us know. 1910, what was the question that you're responding to Hilda about? Because I missed it. I see that you're talking about some sort of erosion, GERD, reflux. Let me know. Oh, Hilda, that was your problem. It's the root canal. That's the seed of it. It's the actual root canal. And when we think about doing a root canal, we really need to think, do you really want to do that? Because you can't necessarily get everything cleaned out. So it might not be that, that Lucy was accusing you of eating candy and sugar in your coffee and the sodas and all that stuff. And you're telling me that you floss and you use toothpicks and all that. That's great. It's the fact that you had the root canal, okay? And then that root canal leads to infection and inflammation. And now it's your whole body, Hilda. It's the whole body inflamed. Can that root canal increase your risk of heart disease? Yes. Stroke? Yes. Diabetes? Yes. Dementia? Yes. Depression? Yes. All of it. All of it. Just because of that crazy root canal. So do you just simply take that tooth out, remove that canal, root canal? Something to think about. Zinnia, are you vegetarian? I am not. Oh, the kale salad and the oxalates and kidney stones. Good. Yeah, thanks for refreshing my memory. Yes, kale. Oh my gosh, very high in oxalates. Spinach, high in oxalates. If anything, if you're going to eat kale and you just love kale, boil it 20 minutes. The oxalates will burn out, okay? Will boil out. Just don't drink the water. Pour that off. Wash off the kale after you boil it. That will remove as much oxalates as possible, okay? But yeah, gosh, that was causing your kidney stones, huh? Calcium oxalate. Hilda has good sardines in Germany from Spain. Nice. I add pico, and I can eat it all day. We'll try not to, please. That might be a lot. Okay, sounds like we got to we need to clean this up. Let me see. All right. Um, 1910 is, I see that you're trying to consult with Hilda about some sort of erosions, and before telling somebody that you can't reverse erosions, maybe you can. Okay, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but don't talk in absolutes. Universe says some dentists are scammers. Well, of course they are. Some doctors are scammers too, right? Oh my goodness. Carl, which one are you referring to? And I can look into it. Zinnia says they eat bison for meat. Good. Oh, it's a great choice. I love bison. Bison, buffalo, sheep, lamb, deer, and cow. Yeah. Are peanuts okay? For what? You want to eat them? Very high in mold. Very, very high in mold. High in oxalates. High in phytates. They are a plant. So you choose. Don't let me sway you one way or another, okay? Okay. We're cleaning up some things. When you hear me pause, Lisa says, do you put tallow on your face? I do not. I've used tallow on my legs and my backs of my arms. I do like tallow. I just use it right out of the container of tallow. I don't buy any special little container for $40. No. But it seems that when I put tallow on my body or my face, I tried it once and I went to bed with that and my dogs licked it off. So that wasn't fun. Let's see. User says, problem in wisdom teeth. Doctors recommend to remove it. Why? Why remove your wisdom teeth? Is there a problem they don't have enough room? If you let them grow in, they actually might straighten up. If they tell you they're coming in at an angle, a lot of times they start out like that, like coming in at an angle, and then all of a sudden straighten themselves out. What if wisdom teeth were a form of stem cells replacement? Why were they called wisdom teeth? Why would God make a certain number of teeth to tell some dentist to tell you to take 4 of them out because they're of no concern? So is that like giving the bird, the finger, the middle finger to God, like he made a mistake in making a certain amount of teeth for your mouth? Or did we develop in such a way that made our mouths not grow so big? So we had a crapola diet from infancy forward where we didn't have enough protein for our bone structure. And so the spacing in our mouth is like a pug versus a German Shepherd. long nose, a lot of area, a lot of, bone structure for their jaw and teeth. So I don't think that God made a mistake by putting a certain amount of teeth in our mouth. I think we make mistakes by what we consume and not getting a nutritionally dense food, like including meat. Okay? All right. Fat Matt says, I have to watch oxalates. Goitrogens as well. Well, then I guess you're not going to be eating plants. So plants have oxalates and plants have goitrogens, like your cruciferous vegetables. But all plants have oxalates. All right. Why people have to be so derogatory, I don't know. Gosh, just don't say nothing at all if you can't say something nice. I'm helping out Lucy and RM. We got a lot of riffraff over here on YouTube, so I apologize to my Instagrammers. Okay. Is taking human growth hormone bad? External human growth hormone. Depends on the reason why you're taking it, Zatram. I don't know. Thanks, Chips. I appreciate it. I'm looking for questions. Lucy, help me out here. If I need to skip to the end, I will. If you have a question, please put a question mark in front of it or do a super chat. Lisa asked, what is an oxalate? An oxalate is like a little shard of glass. It's a defense chemical that is made by the plant itself to keep from predators from eating it. When they bite into it, the shards can injure their mouth and it can injure their GI tract as it's going down. So oxalate is a plant defense chemical. A phytate is similar. A saponin, a tannin, these are all defense chemicals that a plant will produce in order to protect it from prey. They are usually seedless. That's why fruits have seeds. They're succulent and colorful, and they want predators to eat them. So they spread their seeds, their eggs. So when you chomp into a strawberry with seeds, you're chomping into the ovary, so to speak. And then when you poop it out in the wilderness, you spread those seeds and you make more strawberries. That's what they do from animals. That's what birds do. They'll eat your corn and then all of a sudden in your bird feeder, and then all of a sudden a little ways away, thank you, Zinnia, I appreciate that. A little ways away, you got a volunteer corn plant just growing out of nowhere because the bird deposited it, okay? So yeah, things with seeds, they want to be deposited. Jingle, why does the outside of my body turn red after I've been in the cold for only a few minutes? I mean, that could be a number of things. I would get labs, but it sounds like you're going through some sort of vasodilation. That could actually even be a histamine type reaction, Jingle, that whenever you are exposed to the cold, you get histamine. Mast cells release histamine. That causes that vasodilation. I mean, it's possible. I don't know the cause, but that was the first thing that came to my head. I agree, 1910, taking them out might be in your best interest. Flo says, I feel like some water daily intake recommendations are exaggerated. I would agree. I'm not super active. I don't need lots of water. I'd be in the bathroom all day. Well, it's not about that. I think you should drink when you're thirsty. I think that your urine should be straw colored. If we're drinking too much, our urine is going to be white or clear. And that is a reflection that your kidneys are having to work super overtime to try to concentrate that urine and not having very good success. So that person is likely overhydrating. And so, the amount of water they told us to drink in the past, yeah, I think it's too much. If you're not working out and sweating, yeah, you're probably drinking too much. Look at the color of your urine. Two-party illusion. Opinion on how to do a parasitic detox. Don't feed it, okay? Parasites love to eat sugar and iron. They like heavy metals. So you've been eating sushi full of heavy metals, and maybe the parasites were in the sushi. You've been doing it for 50 years. Yeah, it's going to take some time to get rid of those. Maybe you need to see the infectious disease specialist and see which parasite you actually have if you have them, okay? And then treat it accordingly. But stop feeding them. They're living rent-free. If they are living, they're living rent-free in you. Um, 1910, so it's not the tooth fault then. It's not the wisdom tooth fault. It's the actual person doing that. And, for some people, I've seen wisdom teeth in a lot of mouths. I've been seeing wisdom teeth present for, I don't know if you're a dentist or not, but I've never seen 10 people with wisdom teeth and 9 of them having cavities in there. So I would disagree with your assessment, but thank you for your opinion. We don't always have to agree, but I've seen a lot of mouths and a lot of wisdom teeth, okay? Delia, what should you eat for O blood type? The same as a person with A blood type, or AB, or B, or anything. I agree, Lucy. I totally agree. That's up to you whether or not you want to be listening to Dr. Oz. If you guys are not getting your questions answered, consider doing a super chat, and I'll answer your questions. It'll bump it right to the very beginning. Layla says, use a tough toothbrush for the back wisdom teeth. Thank you. How to avoid dementia? Change your diet. No, I can't agree with eating fruit just to get your water. I think that would be a way to increase your dementia, a way to increase fatty liver disease, a way to cause diabetes. How do you get rid of diabetes? How do you reverse it? Stop the carbohydrate toxicity. You have toxicity. You have overdose of carbohydrates. Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate your help with this. Lucy and RM today are my blue wrenchers, and they're helping with moderation, so I appreciate them a lot. Right. The most common cause of cavities is sugar, so stop doing the sugars, okay? Stop. That's what's feeding the bacteria that cause the problem. Yep. 1910, you might work in a nonprofit public dentistry with different demographics. I bet they all eat the exact same thing. Ask them. And then show them how to brush their teeth. It's possible. You can get all the way to the back. Okay? Unless they got something wrong with their temporomandibular joint and they can't open their mouth, that might be a problem. And in a case like that, I would actually tell them to use mouthwash. I don't always push that, but that would be a case I would do it in. Zinnia, I don't know what the super flu is, but good luck with that. Let us know how you do. I hope and pray for wellness for you. Corson asks, what is your opinion about vitamins? Why do you need vitamins? If somebody tells me that they need vitamins, I would tell them that they probably have a diet that lacks nutrition. And so they are needing to replace the nutrition with synthetic, man-made vitamins. I would simply change my diet so I don't need to have synthetic, man-made vitamins. Good, Kyler. That's good stuff. Electric toothbrush and reverse osmosis water. Video game thought that fruit sugar is cool. I don't know what cool means, but fruit sugar is no different than any other sugar. Sugar is sugar. You got glucose and you got fructose, okay? If glucose is in a Pop-Tart, it's the same glucose chemical formula as the glucose in fruit. And the fructose that's also in the Pop-Tart is the same fructose that's in the fruit. The chemical formula is exactly the same. So, that's just my thoughts on it. Reverse cavities, Maria? Doubtful. You have a problem. I don't know if the extent of your cavities and simply changing your diet, I don't think that would reverse your cavities, but I tell you what it will do is likely prevent more from occurring, and I think that's a plus. Is green tea healthy option? For what? Why would you need to consume a plant full of oxalates, phytates, tannins, and saponins to be healthy? There's plant toxins. Just to get the ECG, I probably would pass. But if you, Kim, want to do green tea, it's better than a Coca-Cola. Less bad. I don't know, Batty, if there is a reliable study on vitamin efficacy. I don't know. You're very welcome to party. I appreciate you being here. Manjus, is being vegetarian generally fine? I don't know. Are you a vegetarian and are you generally fine? I don't know what you're consuming. I mean, vegetarian has many definitions. I don't know what you're consuming. That's okay, video game, or Luke, that's fine. We can always disagree. Timothy asks, are there studies on the detriments of microplastics? I think if you go to PubMed and search microplastic studies, one or many will pop up. Do I think they're harmful? Absolutely. Um, 1910, I have done shorts and reels for Instagram on tea, but I can do another one. Yeah, thanks, video game, or Luke. I appreciate it. I don't like to be referred to as that, as the Doberman, as you would say, although that is a beautiful dog. I would like to say that I have passion and intensity for things that I'm passionate and intense about. And I just want, I would like everybody to, you know what? I guess the main thing I would want people to do is simply educate themselves. If you educated yourself and you knew everything about it, like let's just give the example of fruit. If you knew everything about fruit, all of the chemicals, all of the absorption, all of the everything, and you made the decision to eat fruit, then that makes me happy. It makes me happy because you actually used your brain and you had enough information to make a decision, informed decision for you. Would I eat fruit? No, never. But that doesn't mean you don't eat fruit, okay? You guys need to do what is good for you, not what's good for me. I can tell you all the things, but you have to say, you know what? I'm going to let that part slide. I don't really care about the oxalates. If I get oxalate toxicity, I'll increase some potassium citrate or magnesium citrate, and I'll cleanse out the oxalates. I go, okay, great. Make a decision for you. Eve, thank you for the super chat. Asking my question more completely. You did not have to give me money for it, but thank you. I have some sort of stomach flu virus on day 2. Oh, I have a stomach flu virus. I'm on day 2, diarrhea. I'm considering taking Imodium, but is that just covering the problem? Good question. It's okay to return to work as long as you don't get your diarrhea on other people, meaning you don't splatter your diarrhea and then somebody else sits in it and whatever, or your hands are not clean. And you know what I'm talking about, Eve. I don't have to go into the details on that. But ask yourself, the fact is, diarrhea is trying to get rid of the virus or whatever the pathogen is. Your body's trying to eliminate that. So it's a natural process to not absorb whatever it is and get it out, okay? You also don't want to feed a stomach virus, okay? So you wouldn't want to give it Bebops or McDonald's, right? Because that's going to feed it. You would maybe want to do soup, like just broth, bone broth. If you say, oh my gosh, my anal opening is burning like nobody's others, I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of Imodium just to maybe just make it not so watery. Okay. It's to kind of ease this, but you got to let it run its course. Stop feeding it. Fasting in this particular instance might be a good thing, with the exception of some, chicken broth or, bone broth, something like that. Okay? So thank you again for finishing your question. Eve, you're very kind with your super chats today. I really appreciate it. RH, why do you not eat fruit? I know what it does to my brain. I know what it does to my liver. I know what it does to my mitochondria. I know all these things, and I do not want that. There is no essential aspect of fruit that I need, okay? I thrive without fruit for a lot of years. I have never eaten fruit. I might have taken bites of fruit, but I would never buy fruit. Never. Okay? That is me. RH, you might want to eat fruit. That's fine. But if you know about all the things with fruit, you probably wouldn't do it. Or you might. You might not care. Okay? All right. Vanessa says, thank you for the super chat. Here is my love chart or love heart back to you. And my thumb up. Doc, you are so right. God wants us to serve, love, and forgive. Thank you for your kind words and helping us get better in health. Thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate that. And when I speak about God, when I speak about him giving his son for us, it really, really makes me very emotional, okay? Because I know I would not be where I'm at without him. And it just really, he makes my heart happy. And so the relationship that I want to build is more with him than of this world. And if we're talking about God versus fruit, I'm choosing God every day. Okay? He helps me make my decisions. The Holy Spirit is my counselor and my guidance, and he's my gut feeling, and he's everything that I've ever, wanted and needed, for that matter. And so you guys are just getting the reflection of that, of me. And that might look like mean. It might look like a Doberman. It might look like the most graceful person you've ever seen on social media. It could be all those things. But it's really, for the glory of God. And when it stops being about the glory of God and it's about me, then I need to take a step back, and you guys need to remind me, hey, I think your ego's getting in the way. And then I have to be humble and suck it up and say, yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay? So let's see. Do we have another one here? Petley, thank you for the super chat, super sticker, super gift. I appreciate that. There's my love chart or love heart back. Hello, I hope you have an awesome day today. Thank you. And you as well. It's a beautiful Sunday here. Well, I think it's a beautiful Sunday. I haven't been outside very much yet. I actually, this morning, I did a recording with another influencer. Do you call them influencers online? It was great. It went great, but I missed my workout this morning, and I am a morning workout person. So today it gave me reason to not go to the gym, which I've been to the gym every single day. Oof, I bet I haven't missed a day in 6 months. I know that sounds crazy, but I just like to go, even if I go for a half an hour and walk or stretch or do something, I need to make a presence in the gym because it's part of my routine. Okay. It's a habit that I've gotten into, but today I had to do a recording with another influencer with great questions, and I think it went well, but it won't be out for 3 or 4 weeks, but we're gonna watch for that, and I'll post it on my YouTube. I cannot post it to Instagram, I don't think. There might be a reel or a short or something like that, but I hope it went well. I can't wait to see it. It felt good. It felt good. He's a very good interviewer. Okay, we got another one here. Oh, Petley, thanks again. Yeah, I get it. Thank you. I apologize. I meant to say, I hope you have an awesome day. I understood what you said, but Petley, thank you for the kind, the kindness with your super chats and super gifts. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Lucy, for letting people know that this channel is about health and getting to the root cause. I agree. Yes, Gregory, I would agree. The glyphosate is being spread into the air, and it's causing a lot of detriment. Glass by Sarah says, my 9-year-old is listening, and she said, but I love fruit. My reality is destroyed. I'm so sorry to your 9-year-old. Gosh, you love it, not for anything but the sweetness of it. Fruit is just like eating a hot tamale, just like eating a Pop-Tart. The fruit is the sugar, and the sugar that's in fruit is glucose and fructose, okay? And that sugar, 9-year-old little girl, I don't want to tell you what to do because there's going to be a lot of people who tell you that there's so many nutrients in that fruit. But I'm going to tell you, but by the time you're eating that fruit, it's been stabilized in a warehouse for months. There's coating on it. It's made by a man. That fruit that you're eating never used to be like that. And I know you're 9 years old and you don't know what happened 100 years ago, but that fruit of today that you're consuming is basically like eating a brownie or a Pop-Tart or a hot tamale, or a Skittle. It's the exact same thing. Our fruits are man-made. They've been bioengineered, okay? They've been bioengineered, and you're eating something that's fake. I know that doesn't ring to you because you still love it, but the love is what they want. They want you to be addicted to it. They want you to be addicted to the fruit. And the fruit, my friend, my little 9-year-old friend, is making you sick whether you know it or not. And it's decreasing your life expectancy. And I know that's hard to see into the future. Like, how old am I going to be when I grow older? But you're shortening your life expectancy right now by consuming fructose, which destroys your liver and destroys your brain. And it's hard to see that right now because you're young and vibrant. But ask yourself as a 9-year-old, what if it's changing your fertility? What if it's changing the fat that's located on your body, the distribution of fat on your body? What if it's all from just consuming fruit? Now, if you told me, Dr. Jensen, come on, I'm eating a piece of fruit once a month, I'd say, you know what, 9-year-old little girl, eat the fruit once a month. But if you're doing it once a day, every day of the week, I would talk to mom, because 9-year-old little girls don't go out and buy their own fruit. Parents do. So should I be talking to your mother or father who's right now listening? Little girl, they're buying it for you. They're buying you Pop-Tarts and tamales and Skittles right now by encouraging you to eat the fruit. Okay? So hopefully you both heard this. Okay. All right. You guys, gosh, there's so many questions, but we've been talking for 2 hours here, and I do this live on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, one more super chat, you guys. Elizabeth, can you answer questions about limited scleroderma? I was just diagnosed. One, Elizabeth, thank you for the very generous super chat. I mean, you did not have to do that, because I'm going to tell you that I do not know much about scleroderma. I do know this. It's an inflammatory condition, okay? It's an inflammatory condition that can be reversed. I believe it can be reversed, all right? Now, whether or not you're on an antifungal diet, and to me, an antifungal diet is one without sugar, no carbohydrates. And so whether you think your scleroderma is from a fungus and you're doing an antifungal diet, you're actually doing a no-carb diet, or you should be doing a no-carb diet, because everything, parasites, bacteria, viruses, fungus, love to live rent-free on and in your body with sugar and iron. So Elizabeth, get your iron studies done. A ferritin, a transferrin, TIBC, get those results. Get a CBC, check your liver function. Something's going on. You're on the right track. But if it's an antifungal diet, no carbs. All right? So with that, that was the last super chat. We'll call it quits. Yes, Carrie, that's what it was with Andreas. Yep. So yeah, I'm really excited. Carrie, I hope you get to watch it. But yeah, did a super chat with Andreas and it went great. I got another one coming up in February with somebody else, and we'll just see. It's getting exposure. It's getting me better at interviews. He's very good with interviews. He's very good to lead me into answering naturally. So I appreciate that. But yeah, Carrie, it'll be good to see the results of that. And sounds like we're going to probably do another one, because he was intrigued by my weightlifting and bodybuilding, and I think we're going to, blast forward. So thanks again. If you were the ones that maybe spurred that on, I appreciate that, Carrie. It means a lot. So with that being said, I do this on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central and Sundays at 10 a.m. Central. That's consistent. But maybe adding another day. I really love doing question and answer. It's something I really enjoy, okay? It brings me great joy to help you guys. Sometimes I don't know the answer, and I don't want to fake it, that's for sure, because I don't like to be wrong. I like to be mostly right. And if I'm just mostly right, I'm going to tell you the part that's wrong, that I don't know. So that's what being partly right about, okay? So maybe we add another day. I don't know if that looks like Wednesdays or, I know late afternoon and evening are just not available for me. But maybe the noon hour, or maybe another morning, is there another day? If I get enough feedback and maybe we should add another day in here, let me know. Message me or something, or email me and say, hey, maybe add in blah, blah, blah. Maybe, and then we add another. We just give it a try and see. And maybe we hit more people, from other countries that want to listen in where the time zones are way different. Because I know if you're, in Australia now, it's like 10 p.m. or I don't know. I think it's like 12 or 13 hours ahead of where I'm at right now. So it could be even midnight. I don't know. But yeah, Lisa says do another day. But like I said, let me know if you have some ideas on what days fit in good with you and others that you think would be, from an algorithm analytical perspective, what days and times are the best. I don't know these things. That's why I have Blue Wrenchers helping me out. So, you guys, that's great. I'll call it quits. Video, Luke, thank you for being here and supporting me. Please like and share. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe. Follow. I think it's follow on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. But hit the thumbs up and the heart buttons. It really helps. Okay. All right, you guys. Have a wonderful day. See ya. Oop, there we go.